Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Robert Paris and John Vias, Peter Brown with the weather, Gretchen Carey with Community Calendar, Marge McDonald with Senior News, and Liz Gillespie with Sports. Thank you for joining us. Burlington did not receive any vaccine doses this week, and local officials are unhappy about the situation. Board of Health Chair Ed Weiner said the town requested 800 vaccinations for a clinic scheduled to be held on Wednesday. He said the week before the town made the same request but was told by the Mass Department of Public Health that there were only 100 doses available, which were distributed to seniors 75 and older last Wednesday. He said that they at least expected the same amount this week, but was told by DPH over the weekend that none were available. Dr. Weiner added that DPH offered no further information about why no vaccines were available or when the town could expect to receive further doses. He said he finds the situation frustrating and he feels bad for the seniors who had signed up for the clinic. State Rep Ken Gordon said the communication from the Baker administration has been abysmal, quote, and that the administration has been reactive rather than proactive. Gordon added that the communities he represents, other communities he represents, are also facing uncertainty. He said Wilmington has been told they won't get any. He said that in Bedford, the Board of Health believes they are getting some doses, but told him they haven't been told when. Bill Ricker posted on Facebook that they are not receiving any vaccines this week. And Leahy Clinic sent an email out to their patients that told them the state had withheld the vaccine doses for the state-held clinics that they were holding. Leahy could not say when the doses would be available to them in the near future. Burlington has had some good news in regard to the COVID-19 pandemic. After falling out of the red zone and into the yellow zone last week, this week's report from the Mass Department of Public Health shows the rate of spread in town has dropped even further. According to DPH's most recent town-by-town report dated February 11, Burlington's percent or positivity rate is 3.95%, and the town's average daily incident rate is 28 per 100,000 people. The previous report, dated February 4th, had the percentage positivity rate at 4.8 and the average daily incident rate at 41.9 per 100,000 people. This follows a trend in the area as Burlington's neighbors, Bedford, Billerica, Lexington, Wilmington, and Woburn, are also in the yellow. According to DPH, in order for a community to move into the green, it would have to have an average daily incident rate of 10 per 100,000 and a positivity rate of under 10%. Despite falling numbers, health officials still advise everyone to follow the guidelines of wearing masks in public, maintaining social distancing, and frequent hand washing. After comprehensive presentation and question and answer session with the town's financial team, the Board of Selectmen voted to approve a set of budget guidelines to help create the fiscal year 2022 budget. The financial team walked the board through the town's sources of funding and how they are being impacted by the pandemic and subsequent shutdown of many businesses. The first was local receipts, which include the town's meals tax, the hospitality tax, and permits, building permits. Town accountant John Denizio said the meals tax is down 35%, hospitality tax income is down 65%, and funds from building permits are down 67%. The second source of revenue is state aid, which Denizio said stayed level last year, but it is unclear if that will remain the same for FY22. That leaves the tax levy, which is the major source, which comes from residents and businesses in town for their properties. Any funds not provided by the other two sources are drawn from the property taxes. Town Administrator Sagarino then went over the goals for the FY22 budget, which he said hewed as close to the goals of other years as possible. They include maintaining services and avoid cutting personnel if possible, though he acknowledged that may not be possible. Sagarino and Denizio said that after consideration and meetings with both town departments and the school department, they settled on an FY22 operating budget increase of 3.25%. This is a blended increase and means the town side will increase by 3% and the schools will increase their budget by 3.5%. This increase is projected to increase the overall tax levy by 4.99% when you factor in accommodated accounts and salary increases. Sagarino said this increase in the operating budget is smaller than they would seek if the town's revenue sources were normal and the economy was strong. To make it work, he explained, they will decrease their proposed capital projects and only ask for the most essential items in the capital side. Perhaps the biggest departure from previous years was the discussion around using reserve funds to supplement the town's budget. Sagarino said this is not something they would normally consider, and if they go down that road, they will have a plan to get off of it. Here he is.
And this is something we haven't had to do in budgets past because we typically in Burlington, we have a balanced budget, a sustainable budget where we only use regular revenues to pay for the regular bills of the town. We do not use reserves in the operating budget process. However, given the unique circumstances, we will most likely be requesting to use reserves for something in the upcoming year. And the key is once you start using reserves to fund the operating budget, we really need to come up with a plan to stop using reserves to fund the operating budget. So that's always the trick when you're using reserves for operating. You can't just use them like that forever. We have to have a way to stop using them and get back to having a budget where our regular revenue matches our regular expenditures.
Denicio said that fortunately Burlington has healthy reserves. Free cash is a little above $16 million and stabilization is at $9.8 million. The town is also $12.5 million below its excess level levy capacity, meaning we could tax up that much further without needing a Proposition 2.5 override. This latter source, however, comes from the tax levy, and nobody is interested in increasing that too much if possible. Hence the interest in possibly covering some of the budget with use of reserves rather than taxes. For more details on how reserves may be used, read the full story on our website at bcattv.org. The Burlington Board of Selectmen approved the use of funds from the Disability Access Commission at the DAC, and we are not using the terminology Select Board at this point because that bylaw has not been approved by the Attorney General at this point. The Disability Access Commission account that are garnered from fees paid by handicapped parking offenders. In total, the fund has approximately $109,000 from illegal handicap parking fines. DAC co-chair Mara Mazaka presented two proposed projects for the board's consideration. The first was $12,000 to update the town's Automark voting machine software to keep it working smoothly. Automark is the voting machine used by people with impairments, and the funds would cover updates for the next 3 years. Members of the board expressed support for the proposal and voted unanimously to approve it. The second proposal Mazaka put forward was $15,000 for a project that is a partnership between the DAC, the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department, and the Marshall Simons Trust to build an access ramp to the deck of the wading pool at Simons Park. In total, the cost of the project is estimated to be $40,000, and this represents DAC's portion. Members were also in favor of this project and once again voted 5-0 in favor. The Burlington Police Department has not been able to do their normal in-person training sessions due to the pandemic. However, rather than letting their skills decline, they have improvised by leasing a high-tech training simulator that they have set up right in the station. BNEWS Director Rich Hosford went to check it out and has this report.
You know, this is...
Where's your sister?
Talk to my sister, because she's...
What are you...
Shoot it! Shoot the cop! Go for the head!
Drop the weapon!
Man.
Drop
Shoot
it now!
Shoot him now!
Keep quiet! Keep quiet! Keep your hands where I can see them. Get down on the ground now.
The Burlington Police Department has taken training to a new, high-tech level. They have leased a Vertra V180 Advanced Police Training Simulator. The simulator comes with hundreds of different scenarios and reacts to police equipment in real time for realistic training. Lieutenant Glenn Mills explains why the department wanted to get this simulator at this time.
It happened with the pandemic. We're very fortunate. We do a lot of training here at the Burlington PD. And suddenly, all of these courses were canceled. All of these events were canceled on us. So what were we going to do to replace that training? And we figured out that the best thing we could do is bring the training here. And the most advanced training that we could bring in here was this system.
Lieutenant Mills said the simulator helps make training sessions more accessible and easier to coordinate than being out in the field.
We want to make every day a training day, basically. Every chance that we get, we're going to bring people in, even for a short segment, do a little bit of training on duty, go back out on the road. And if we can do that continuously, every officer could literally get dozens or even hundreds of hours of additional training every year. So that's a big advantage of having it right here. We can bring people right in here and simulate a whole wide range of scenarios.
And with the myriad of scenarios, officers engaged in training don't know what's coming at them.
They don't necessarily know what's coming at them when they come in, just like the road would be, right? We try to make it as realistic as we can. That's the whole intent of it. So they're not really aware of what scenarios we're going to be presenting to them at that point. It could be anything from that autism scenario to a lost dog in the park with somebody that's might be have some type of mental issue that we need to work through, as well as anything. It could be dealing with a use of force situation. So they don't necessarily know what they're going to be coming into.
And while the simulator does have active shooting drills and can be used as a firing range, it is not just for use of force training.
There are a number of scenarios that require no force whatsoever. They don't even have the options in those branching scenarios that you saw. Some of these have no use of force scenario. It's literally the person reacting to your words and actions. So there might be a suicidal person. There could be, there's one with an aggressive dog at a park. That might have something where you use spray or taser. There are scenarios with just difficult people. There's a lot of scenarios in here that I think almost all of them will end if you don't use force. You can get through all of these scenarios with almost no use of force, right? Except for the active shooters and things like that. I believe they all have endings that are good.
Finally, training more often and with more scenarios helps officers be better prepared to serve the community and its residents.
I think the clear advantage is law enforcement. We've obviously been through a year of difficulty, and with the new police reform bill that was just passed in the state of Massachusetts, as well as different reforms that are coming nationwide. I think the way to deal, the best time to deal with a lot of the problems and the issues that people are seeing across the country, or perceived problems and issues that we're seeing, is training. Okay, when's the best time to plant a tree? 15 years ago, and we've been trying to do that all along. And I think Burlington has been, at the forefront of training. Certainly in this area, and Massachusetts is at the forefront of training across the country, and we're trying to continually push that envelope of training to make sure that we are at the forefront and giving all of our officers everything that we need to equip them for no matter what the situation is. Again, no matter how benign it is or no matter how serious it is, if we can equip them with enough training, we should be able to do the right thing by the community and each and every member of the community.
From the Burlington Police Department, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
The Board of Selectmen gave a longtime member of the Burlington Police Department a heartfelt send-off as he heads into retirement during Monday night's meeting. Police Chief Michael Kent announced that Sergeant Bernie Scipoletti retired last Sunday after 35 years on the job with the department. Chief Kent was there to recommend he be made a special police officer, which gives him the ability to work details and events. Kent first recounted Scipoletti's career. He said he was first made a special police officer in 1986 and was then appointed a permanent intermittent reserve officer in 1998. He was made a patrolman in 1989 and became the town's safety officer in 1998. Scipoletti was promoted to sergeant in 2018. Kent also said he is a 1989 graduate of MCJTC, Needham Academy. He also served as a president of the Massachusetts Safety Officers Association. Scipoletti ran Safety Town at the Burlington Mall for many years, and Kent said during that time he taught thousands of Burlington children about road and bus safety. Chief Kent said Bernie was a valuable member of the department and will be greatly missed. Here he is.
probably had 3 generations of children that he taught traffic safety to, school bus safety, things of that nature. Just a wonderful man who did a great job. And I always sum Bernie's career up. Captain Kirshner told me one time that Bernie was the type of guy, the day he got hired, give him his badge, his gun, and the radio, and you never had to worry about him again. He just did a great job for this town and this department for 35 years.
Joyce Delianis, the founder of Burlington's Help Us, has been featured in the January 2021 issue of Women's World magazine, recognizing her mission to spread kindness throughout the world. BNews reporter John Vias spoke with her about the honor and has this report.
A small act of kindness can go a long way, and that's exactly what happened when one small act was paid forward by Joyce Delianis. When the country was hit by a recession in 2009, the local hairstylist came up with an idea of providing free haircuts for her clients who couldn't afford one. And 12 years later, that one small act of kindness has evolved into so much more.
I met Joyce through my work as a social worker, working with kids in foster care, and we had a family who was ready to reunify, but they did not have enough money to purchase beds for their kids, and that is a requirement. And so I had called up Joyce, and of course 3 days later we had a bed and comforters and clothes and food and all sorts of things.
Joyce's story was recently featured in the January 2021 issue of Women's World magazine, highlighting her passion for sharing her happiness with the world.
Emily Trask, who she is the vice president of the organization, she sent the story to the Women's World magazine. She sent the copies from the newspaper, the latest newspaper. It was 3 articles. So she sent the articles to them, and that's how they found out about the story. It's an opportunity to spread more kindness and see faces, because people need to see faces. Who's behind the story? It's always a person behind the story, always people behind. And I think it's very important to expose the people, to show the people faces.
Joyce is the founder of Help Us, a nonprofit organization that encourages and promotes good and charitable deeds for the purpose of helping those in need, such as this teddy bear drive taking place at Caldwell Banker Realty, where a variety of plush bears have been dropped off, set to be given to children just in time for Valentine's Day.
They're going to be distributed to the shelters, Project Hope, Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, and then to about 7,500 kids locally.
Joyce is an inspiration to everyone she meets. So far, she and her team have done over 60,000 acts of kindness for more than 20,000 people. In 2016, she got the attention of Governor Charlie Baker, who declared May as the month of kindness. She also believes that young people are the future and can keep the world's kindness growing for generations to come.
We want to make the month of kindness national, and then we're hoping to make a greater thing than that. Use that as a stepstone. I would love to see all of us do. It's to curriculum, mandatory curriculums in the schools and universities, kindness curriculum. Kindness need to be taught. And if it is taught on a regular basis and consistently, it will just make a huge, huge difference. And we need to invest on our kids, on the youth, because they're the ones that are going to bring the message out there, and they're going to bring it to tomorrow. If we give it to the kids and the youth, that's the ones that are going to be doing it to the future and make the change.
From Caldwell Banker Realty on Cambridge Street, this is John Vias for BNews Weekly.
Our goal is 500 bears next year, but we'll.
The Burlington Planning Board has been hearing from representatives of Leahy Hospital on the relocation of their helicopter pad. Initially, the MedFlight helicopter landed at TW Field, which was not popular with neighbors, and was moved to the pads currently located off of Kimball Ave. The new plan calls for the new pad to be located adjacent to the emergency room from its current location. The board requested information on traffic implications and flight path information. Attorney Mark Vaughn informed the board that the new flight path would not require stopping of traffic. Boston MedFlight Chief Operating Officer Rick Kennan told the board that MedFlight typically flies over thoroughfares and avoids residential areas. He went on to explain flight paths typically fly according to the predominant wind out of the west, landing and taking off into the wind. Takeoff from the proposed pad would be in the direction of Mall Road, then turn left to get out over 128. The proposed site does not follow FAA requirements for altitude and turning radius. Planning Board member William Gaffney requested a site visit to the proposed pad with helicopter flight overhead to understand the full effect of the med flight landing and taking off. The board also inquired about restoring the existing site if the location is no longer needed. Leahy reps agreed to the possibility of seeding and making it a grassy green space. The matter has been continued to a later meeting of the Planning Board. We go now to Council on Aging Director Marge McDonald, who has a special message about the state's vaccine rollout and the new decision to allow caretakers of seniors to also get vaccinated at state-run clinics. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Marge McDonald, Director of the Burlington Council on Aging. I'm sure you've all heard the news by now. You can bring a caregiver or have someone drive you to one of the mass vaccination sites, and as long as they are registered as well, they can get vaccinated. We have all been thrown into a crazy new world of trying to find a shot for ourselves or a loved one, and it is not bringing out the best in everyone. I want to start by acknowledging our frustration with the way the vaccine is being distributed. Boards of health and councils on aging are beyond frustrated and angry that we are unable to vaccinate all of you here, where you are comfortable and it is relatively easy to get to and navigate. And now the hospitals are not getting the doses they expected as the state directs doses to the mass vaccination sites. People keep telling me we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we can. It just feels like the train ran out of coal and we're pulling ourselves towards the light. We have been told by the state that the supply constraints will ease in March and the municipalities will have an easier time getting doses. It seems like a long time to wait. In the meantime, you need to be extremely careful if you decide to go another route. If someone other than your hospital or someone from the Board of Health or Council on Aging or someone you have already contacted calls you and says we have a vaccine for you, hang up. It's a scam. The vaccine will not cost you anything. Insurance can be billed and will be billed for the cost of giving you the vaccine. But don't give out your credit card information or buy gift cards to get a shot. Most importantly, if someone you don't know calls to offer to take you to a mass vaccination site, please don't take the offer. I don't want you getting hurt, physically or financially. The vultures are circulating. Take your mother's advice. Do not, I repeat, do not accept rides from strangers, particularly if they are offering to take you to get a vaccination. We are advocating to get more doses to Burlington and other towns that also are having trouble. We know there really isn't anywhere close by that has any availability. We have been assured that the state will not move on to the next priority group until we get most of the 75 plus vaccinated. So please don't worry that you will miss your turn if you decide to wait until you can get your shot in Burlington or somewhere close. Even if the state goes to the next priority level, you can still get your shot. After 11 months of living in fear, we all desperately want to be vaccinated and to feel safe and be able to go out into the world again and see and hug our friends and family. It will happen, but let's not let something terrible happen out of our rush to get there. Take care and stay safe.
The winter sports season is coming to a close and the Red Devils are ending strong. For all the latest news, we go now to BNEWS sports reporter Liz Gillespie for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, I'm Liz Gillespie for your weekly sports report. The BHS winter sports regular season is winding down at BHS, and we have the latest on how teams are doing, so let's get to it. Boys varsity basketball had a home game on Saturday, February 6th against the Melrose Red Raiders. We have some highlights, so let's check those out.
The Burlington boys varsity basketball team took on the Melrose Red Raiders on Saturday, February 6th at the BHS Wooden Gym. Let's get to the court. In the first period, the Red Devils scored 11 points, while the Red Raiders had 9. In the second, Burlington picked up the pace as they scored an additional 19 points, while Melrose had 11. 30-20 at the half, Burlington. Third period, the boys slowed down just a bit as they only put up 12 points, while the Red Raiders had 9. Now in the fourth and final period, the Red Devils had put up their highest points of the game as they scored 21 additional points. The Red Raiders had 10. The final in the game was 63-39 Burlington.
Burlington then faced the Red Raiders again on Wednesday, February 10th in Melrose, where they won by 10 points in a 49-39 final. Captain senior guard Tyler Williams put up 15 points, junior forward Shane Mahoney with 12, and sophomore guard Eric Sakaya put up 10 points in his career high. The team will face the Watertown Red Raiders again on Saturday, February 13th at BHS. This game will be live streamed on the BCAT Facebook page. They stand at 7-1 on the season. Girls varsity basketball had a home game against the Melrose Red Raiders on Wednesday, February 10th. We have some highlights, so let's check those out.
Burlington girls varsity basketball had a game against the Melrose Red Raiders on Wednesday, February 10th at the BHS Wooden Gym. Let's get to the highlights. The girls started the first period with 18 points on the board, while their opponent, Melrose, had 8. Burlington added an additional 15 points. Melrose had 5. 33-13 at the half. Third period, the girls added 6 points, and the Red Raiders with 14 points. 39-27 at the end of the third. Burlington added 13 points in the fourth, while Melrose only put up 5. 52-32 was the final, Red Devils.
Burlington is currently undefeated at 7-0. Girls varsity hockey had a game against Winchester on Monday, February 8th at the Woburn Arena. The team shut out their opponent 8-0. Then, the girls faced off against the Belmont Marauders on Wednesday, February 10th at the Burlington Ice Palace. We have some highlights.
The girls varsity ice hockey team faced off against the Belmont Marauders on Wednesday, February 10th at the Burlington Ice Palace. Let's get to the action. In the first half, Burlington scored 4 goals. Shannon McDonald, Anna Viglione, 2 for Elena Saramides, Ava Patron, and Lexi McKinnon. Belmont scored 1 goal in the second half. At the end of the game, the parents and athletic department put on a special senior night for the graduating seniors. Ava Patron, Shannon McDonald, Sydney Shinopoulos, Alexia Hamilton, and Colleen McMakin. The final, Burlington 6, Belmont 1.
The girls are 8-0-1 on the season and will be home again on Monday, February 15th. This game will be live streamed on the BCAT Facebook page at 5 p.m. Boys varsity hockey traveled to Melrose where they faced the Red Raiders on Saturday, February 6th. The team ended this game in a 1-1 tie. Senior forward Brian O'Neill was the lone goal for the Devils. Senior goalie Nolan Kelleher had 26 saves that evening. The team drops to 2-4-1 and will face the Watertown Red Raiders at the Ice Palace on Saturday, February 13th at 1 p.m. This game will be live streamed on the BCAT Facebook page. Boys gymnastics had their final meet of the season against Lowell. We have a short clip during that evening. Now let's roll it.
Burlington boys gymnastics had a special senior night at the end of their final meet against Lowell. Seniors departing from the team are Cam Noonan, Charlie Gratton, and Anthony Luminello. Congrats to all the seniors on your endeavors and the rest of the 2021 boys gymnastics 50th season.
The team ended the meet with a total of 168 points. Good luck to the seniors and the rest of the team next season. Girls gymnastics stand at 5-0 and will face the Woburn Tanners on Saturday, February 13th at BHS. This game will be live streamed on the BCAT Facebook page at 11 a.m. Don't forget to check out the BNEWS Sports Twitter page, and for more sports, go to bcattv.org under the Sports Hub page. And that's all for your weekly sports report. I'm Liz Gillespie, back to you guys in the studio.
We go now to BNews weatherman Peter Brown for a look at this week's forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Gretchen Carey to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone. This is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days, and here we are heading into the second and third weeks of February. And unfortunately, it is going to definitely feel like winter out there as we start out our period on Friday, seeing our highs about 10 to 12 degrees below average for this time of year, only in the mid-20s, and our lows at night well down in the single digits. So definitely a frigid feel still remains out there in the Burlington area. As we round out our period, getting into the Thursday time frame of next week, our average highs at this time of the year should be up around 40, and again, we're going to be nearly 5 to 10 degrees below that. The only sign that we are actually heading towards spring is look at how much longer the days are getting right now. We've actually added a little bit over an hour to the length of our day now since the Christmas time period, so actually that's the one good thing about this time of the year. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us in terms of temperatures and precipitation for the next 7 to 10 days. And again, nothing new here. Looking at our forecast to average highs, temperatures all over the United States, unless you're down in Central and South Florida, are going to be at or well below average. And as we go ahead and look at our precipitation chances, again, something that we don't like to see mixed with the cold air, above average precipitation chances for us here in the Burlington area and for the rest of New England. So of course that means more in the way of snow, and we are going to have a fairly active weather pattern as we head into this next week. So let's go ahead and take a look at those 7 days of weather coming up. And starting out our period again on Friday and Saturday, we're going to be seeing temperatures very chilly out there, only in the low to mid and maybe upper 20s, maybe on Friday for a little bit. Sunny out there, but definitely breezy and feeling like real Arctic feel to the air. Now, as we get into the Sunday time frame, looks like we're going to have some light snow impacting the Burlington area. The storm doesn't look too big right at this moment. I would stay tuned though, just keep attention to this as it could get to be a little bit bigger, but right now it looks like only maybe a couple of inches of snow at the most, but again, pretty chilly out there, only in the 20s. Now as we get into Monday behind that storm, the temperature's pretty cold again, only in the mid-20s, and as we head into Tuesday, this is a time frame where we may see a more significant and messy storm here in the Burlington area. We may see a very messy mix of heavy rain and snow. More on the snow side, unfortunately, it's going to be that real heavy, pasty, cement-like snow. And we could have definitely a plowable snowfall out of that storm, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Our skies clear out again on Wednesday, again with chilly temperatures, and again looking pretty nice as we round out the period on Thursday. But that's going to be ahead of what might be another significant messy storm for the Burlington area as we head into next Friday. So everyone, hold tight. Spring is really not too far away, but get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your community calendar. Come and learn about racial diversity. On Thursday, February 18th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a Zoom event with Jane O'Neill about racial diversity of Norman Rockwell. To watch the event, go to the BPL Facebook page. For more information, go to burlington.org. Discover how to make dishes from the colonial days. On Saturday, February 20th, from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., Lexington History will be having an event called Colonial Kids Cooking Classes. Kids will learn how to make Indian corn pudding and other colonial dishes from the New England and Virginian settlers. To register, go to lexingtonhistory.org/event.html. It's a beautiful world to explore. The Mass Audubon is having pre-registration for 2021 summer camps for kids. To register, go to massaudubon.org/get-outdoors/summer-camps. I'm Gretchen Carey, and that was your community calendar.
Our weatherman Peter Brown is always an optimist, encouraging you to enjoy 15-degree weather. With that in mind, it's another week and another photo to highlight. Actually, this week we have a handful of photos featuring beautiful winter scenes in the town of Burlington. The snow may be cold, but it sure does look nice. So let's check out the photos. Thank you to Linda McNamee, the McGuire family, Marge McDonald, Fallon Woodbury, and Jitka Grubner for the great submissions. We'd like to see your photos. They can be of your winter activities, your family and pets, the weather outside your own door, or any interesting way you're having fun during the pandemic, even if it's playing Monopoly. Anything you think is interesting and would like to share, email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, John Vias, Robert Parris, Peter Brown, Mike McDonald, Gretchen Carey, and Liz Gillespie. Thank you for joining us.